Before proceeding, let me create a GitHub repo. Let me share my screen. So our repository is based upon the entire MERN stack. Remember, this is not just based upon full stack, front end or back end. It's a complete full stack. So we create a repository. Try to follow this when you're creating a new project. That will be much helpful. Copy the link of the repository. So now let's clone the repository and then cd into the repository. So we are in the master repository of the of our thing. So as I mentioned before, this is a full stack application. So it should have a front end and a back end. So in order for the let me open this on the VS Code first. So how do we do this? How do we separate the front end and back end within our code? The way we separate the front end and the back end in our code is by using the directory system, and this kind of repositories which we are doing right now are also called as monorepos. Okay.
Can you repeat that?
What we're trying to achieve right now was a single repository which consists of both.
Yeah, I mean the name that you.
It's called as monorepos.
Monorepos.
Monorepos, yes, monorepos.
Okay.
So the first one was our client. Client indicates our front end.
Okay.
And the second one was server. Server indicates our backend.
Backend.
Okay. And by the way, if you have any doubts, just feel free to interrupt me in the middle. Okay. No issues over there.
Yes, sir.
So for these purposes, okay, let me quickly start again. We are having a monorepo consisting of client, which is our React application, server, which is our backend, which is consisting of Node.js Express applications. Okay.
Okay.
So quickly, let me open my terminals for both of these. I have two terminals. I would like to dedicate one terminal for my client.
Okay. CD client.
And
CD.
one terminal
server.
to my server.
Server.
Okay. So yeah, this is client and this is server. So within my client, what I want is a React application. How do we install a React application? npx create React app and space dot which will install the React application within this client folder. So while this is happening on one side, this client was populating on one side, let me quickly do few things which are necessary for our server. So before moving into a much deeper understanding of our server architecture, I would like to introduce you guys to a library called as log4j.s. And first of all, let's see what are the advantages we get from this log4j.s. Okay. So let me quickly open the file, create a small index. First of all, create a small index.js. At the same time, initialize it with npm so that I can install packages. Now I can install packages. The package which I'm trying to install now was log4j.s. So I'm installing the log4j.s. So log4j.s was installed. Let me quickly search, have some idea of what log4j.s is for you. Not entirely via documentation. I'm just showing you that I'm not doing anything outside of the scope, just everything what's within the documentation itself. Okay. So within this log4j.s, okay, one thing which I would like to mention here was, till now we are using a syntax which was similar to the old syntax, like var const of require module, right? This was a older syntax. Then in order to use the latest syntax, like constant, what we are using till now was log4.js equal to require. This is the syntax we are using. But in order this, I would like to use something like this. Log4.js from log4.js. This is the syntax I would like to use, which is much better because as we are working in both front end and back end, we would like to keep our input statements in similar fashion.
Similar manner.
So in order to achieve this, we need to go to the package.json. Just beneath the main, you can just go and write a type, and the type should be of module. Okay. The moment you convert this type to be of module, now there is no need to worry about this. This particular line will work fine. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, now you can import in such a way and export exactly how you are used to import and export in any kind of React applications.
Okay.
Okay.
So within this package, now we have the package JSON ready. So now quickly see we got the package JSON. So let's create a logger including this thing. So constant logger is log4j into get logger. Okay. This is a kind of logger, and I would like to configure this logger to certain extent. In order to configure it, this is the configuration settings. Okay, I'm configuring which has something called as appenders. I would like to make this as app. For application, the type of file and the file name was app.log. What does this mean was I would like to store my logs in a particular file.
Okay.
Okay, this is
Mm.
what uh, this
Jeez.
thing does. So rather than first of all focusing more on the configurations, first let's see what log4j is giving us. Why we actually require are much interested in log4j. Okay, so okay, see, we are familiar with using the console.log methods, right? From now, we will not use console.log, rather, we use logger dot something. Logger error. It's a warning whether it is info. This is the first thing which we can say.
Okay.
And what is the advantage of doing this? Let's see how the advantages come is just by making a logger level to debug. I'm making the logger level to debug, okay? Can you see this is the debug, right? Now let's see what's happening if I'm console logging this entire thing. Can you see how my logs look like now? It is much crisp, okay? It has a color context,
Yes.
okay? This way we can identify if there is an error or not. You can just quickly looking by the error list, you can identify it, okay? This is the advantage. And the second thing was, okay, having all the time errors is not a much information. If you want to only see errors and below, you can make this as error and save this file and rerun the file. Now you can see only files which are error and fatal. This is a kind of a level. If you would like to find, okay, I would like to see even the warnings now, just go to warn. Now you can see warnings, errors, and fatals. Okay? Is it clear? Warnings, errors,
Yes.
and fatal. And one more thing, you can see there is something called as default over here. Okay? What this default means, there is no parameter here. I can say something. I'm in index file. This is index file, right? I can write something like this in index file and save this. And if I run the same thing again, you will have in index file. There was an error, which is this thing. This way, it is easy for you to debug. Okay? It clearly says on which file you are and what was the error. And this particular level can be set via environment variable rather than setting manually over here.
Okay.
Okay. That way, it is easier for you to debug, and there is no need to worry about logs being more, less, unable to read the logs. You will not have such kind of thing.
Okay.
Now let's
Uh, I
have
mean, we are installing this package just for logs, right?
yes. This is just for logs. Okay.
Hello.
Yes. This is just for the purpose of logs.
Okay. Okay.
And before that, I would
Okay,
like to
okay.
configure my logger. Okay. The configuration is something like this, not just for application. Till now, you are seeing in what you're saying was logs in the terminal, right? Now I
Terminal.
configured in such a way that the type was file and the file name was app.log. Now let's run the same file and see what's happening. Now you can't see any logs over here, but suddenly there is a file called as app.log. If you check the app.log, you can see all the log files over there.
Okay.
Okay? So not only this, I want to have logs both stored in a file and also in my console. In order to achieve that, what I have to do was I need to create another type within the appenders. The another type was just the standard out. This is all in the documentation, don't worry. You can just quickly see what is my file and you can utilize this thing, okay? And if I make an out, a type of standard out, and within my default appenders, if you can add the same thing, what is that? Out. And log level to be debugged because we are working on this right now. And save this, and if I execute the same file, you can see it over here, you can see it over here, okay? Is it clear?
Okay.
So yep, this is how we use log4.js, okay? So you understood the concept of our logging, right? So I'm quickly removing everything related to the logging, and on each and every file we will just write this thing. Okay.
I mean to specify, right?
To
specify which file we are logging.
Yeah, which file we are in. We will use this in every file. So for now, in index file is fine for me. So this is our file. So in order to have our express working running in the same file, what are the things we require? One, npm install, we need express. And another thing which we required was, as mentioned, was
NodeMon.
NodeMon. It's a dev dependencies. Apart from NodeMon, there is something called as course. We will come. We require it. I'm installing it. Okay. And express and course is something which we require for now. And if there are anything else, we will install in the meanwhile. Okay. So we install express and course. Okay. Okay. And one more package was .env. Okay. .env. So the packages which we installed till now was course, .env, express, and log4.js. And for the NodeMon, I'm installing npm I NodeMon, but in dev dependencies. Okay. So now it's in our dev dependencies. Let it go finish. It's in the dev dependencies NodeMon. Okay. So all of these things were configured properly, so I can clearly go. Is my terminal visible? It's clear, right?
Yes.
There is no issues with the terminal. Yeah, fine then. So one more thing, while pushing to the GitHub, I don't want this node modules to be available in the GitHub. So I should quickly come here and create a small gitignore file. And this gitignore file should consisting of node modules and also .env. Okay. This way, our node modules files will not be uploaded while we are uploading things. Okay. Okay. This gitignore file should be in the server. Okay. So yep. Now you can see the number of files got reduced to 23, and it will be grayed out in a file. And also, I would like to create the .env file. Okay. The .env file is supposed to have the details which are corresponding to, for example, the port. What is the port of our backend? As we're already using 3000 in our front-end application, let me go with 3001.
Okay.
Okay. Is it okay?
Okay.
Now 3001 is the port of our backend, and 3000 is the port of our client, which is our file React application, which was installed. Let's see if our React application is working or not. npm start. So npm start will start a development server on localhost 3000. Yep, our React application is running fine without any issues. So now coming to our server application, we need to configure it accordingly how we previously solved. Okay. So the first thing was we need to import express.
Okay.
We will import express from express. Okay, I have express. What else I am supposed to have?
Course
app equal to
express.
I need to listen on some port.
App.use.
Listen.
I'm listening on some port. First of all, let me configure what was the port. Constant port was process.env .port, or fallback it to 3001. If I mention the port, use that port, or else use whatever is in mention. And at the end, I would like to give a callback,
Callback
and
function.
this callback have something like console.log, but that is the purpose we introduce the concept of logger.
Logger.
We will use logger
Logger.
dot, it is an info.
Info.
Okay, server is listening on port.
Okay.
Is it okay now?
Mm-hmm.
Now let's
Yeah.
check how this process.env dot is, how we make this work. Okay, so let me quickly go to the npm package module of .env and over .env you can see how to utilize this, and here is our file of using ES6. This is what we are using, right? The ES6
Okay.
module. Just copy this file, keep it at the top of the file. Okay, now this loaded our env package also. What I mean by loaded by env package means if I make this port as 8888 and and by the way, we need to use the node mon, right? In order to use node mon, I'm creating within the package.json a small dev script.
Okay.
The dev script says node
Node
mon
mon index.js.
correct, index.js. Fine. Now I would like to run this script. What? Npm run
Run
dev.
dev. Yeah,
This
sorry.
runs my node mon, and can you see the server is listening on port
2001.
3001. That's because my env is outside. Okay, I kept the env in this file and I'm restarting again. Now you can see the port it was running on
8888.
8888. Why? Because
Oh. Yeah, we
within my
gave the
index,
NV.
yes, it is whether it is the port. If this port was not supported, I'm asking you to go to 3001.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, for being more significant, I'm also changing this to 3001. Okay, and the similar fashion, I would like to have another variable called as log level,
Okay.
and I would like to make it as debug. And within this index.js file, now can you see there is a log level over here, right? I can quickly make this to
Process.env.log.
yes, correct, dollar process.env dot log underscore level. This way I can control the loggings based upon my env file.
Okay.
Okay, it will change
One small doubt.
yes, go
Like,
on.
in front end, when we used env variables, we did not install anything like .env, right?
That's because the client, which was the React application, is installing something for us.
Okay, so it's inbuilt in the client.
Yes, because it's a pre-packaged application which we are downloading. While downloading.
Okay, understood. So React has been built. I mean, but inherently it is giving us the .env.
Yes, correct. But coming to the application like the Node.js backend, we are doing each and everything.
Each and everything.
So we need to have this .env.
Okay.
Okay. Clear, right? Everything is clear. I'm thinking.
Okay.
So we now have the logs. We now have the port setup. We now have the express. So in order to work, I would just quickly like to test whether my application is working, express is working or not. How do I do this thing? I just like to make logger dot info. It is request dot original URL. Why this actually gives the login path and confirms whether both are same. It means original URL means what's the URL you are typing in the front from the request. What's coming from the request. Okay, and I would like to response dot JSON. What should I send? For example, API has working maybe. Okay, now our server is running. In order to test this, I'm using Thunder client. If you go to the Thunder client, you can create a new request saying, okay, HTTP localhost our port was on 3001 slash, and it's a get request, and if I send the request it says API working, and if you see into our logs you can see this is our log. On index file we are accessing the URL slash.
Yeah.
Okay, is it okay?
Mm.
So yep. So this is the concept. So our API is working without any issues. So all we have to do now was create a folder called as routes so that we can separate things properly. Correct? Did you remember this thing? What we're trying to achieve? We
Yeah.
are following the MVC structure. So one of them was creating a routes folder. Okay. In order to create a route folder, what I have to do? Okay, I created a routes folder. So within that routes folder, today we are actually seeing a fairly login. We are looking into the login model. Okay, but this login model is not strictly a perfect login which people uses. This login model is to get you familiar with the concept of CRUD operations. Okay.
Yeah.
This is not the original authentication. One of the reason why this was not original authentication, because I'm just storing the email and password as email and password in my database, which is not how we are supposed to do. Okay.
Okay.
In our next session, I will say how we use the concept of middlewares, which I will tell now, to create a session variable or a token, JW token, and use that JW token. For now, we will just store the data in, delete users, update users, create users. That's what we will do just by directly saving the email and password. Okay.
I mean,
Fine.
we can also use the to-do app.
But I want to take this to the next step by using the same repository rather than working upon another. After authentication, we will work on the to-do application where we even make the to-do application. Okay. So the user.js, how do we use this? First of all, we will import Express.
First.
After importing our Express, what we have to do? We need to have something called as router. Router is of type Express router. Once we have a router with us, we can quickly say, okay, on using this, you need to get me this.
Yeah.
What is this variable? This is something which we are doing over here, like this entire logic, correct? I cut this entire logic over here, I paste this logic over here, okay? But there is no logger file over here. In order for that to happen, first of all, I should import log4.js. Okay, I imported the log4.js. And the second one, my logger was now, what was my logger? It's not in the index file, in user. ROUT. I mean in user route. Okay. So I was doing the same thing, but how we send, okay, whenever it was going to the application, we need to navigate this to the user's route page, right? In order to do that, first of all, we need to export our router.
Yes.
We will export it.
Yes, export, and it is default. Okay. As this was a default export, we can come to our file and import it like import. I will call it it's a default router, so I can change the name. Okay.
Yeah.
User
router from my routes folder slash user. We need to specify as user.js. Okay, remember that. It's our user router. Now we will use this user router in this file. Okay. Also, as previously mentioned, our application should be loaded with few other variables which are necessary. That was, can you see, it was already showing like app.use. I mentioned this in our previous thing. We need to mention our express body parser. Okay. This is our body parser for express. Similarly, I would like to use the course module, which I downloaded previously. Okay. What is course? Course is cross origin resource sharing, because as we are having three different kind of positions. One was localhost 3000, one was localhost 3001, Another one was our MongoDB. In order for backend to connect with all of the different origins, we need to mention this. Okay.
Okay.
Is that clear? Why we are using course, or shall I repeat again?
Can you repeat it again?
Okay. Actually, our application has to talk with multiple applications. Okay, multiple URLs. One was our localhost 3000. Another one was in future we will write our MongoDB, which comes with another HTTPS URL, right?
Okay.
So a single application should talk with multiple applications without having any conflicts. CORS means, if you can quickly see what's the meaning of CORS, it is cross origin resource sharing. If you have an architecture something like this, like okay, there is one place where you need to share the resources between both of these two, then you are supposed to use the course module. Okay, this is our scenario, right? We having our own front end, we are having our own back end, or also own database. Then we are supposed to use the course so that the user will never face into issues.
Yes.
So the basic configuration setup for our backend. So which now I say our backend was ready, and in order to confirm whether this was working or not, I will go to the users route. Okay, is it users? No, right? I haven't mentioned it as users. Okay, I will. Okay, let's go with singular words rather than plural. I'm making singular user. I'm sending the request. I got some issues. What's the issue? It's saying, okay, let's quickly debug what might be the issue. Can somebody say what might be the issue?
User request.
Okay, let me quickly tell. I changed the user over the user.file. It should not be over here. I need to specify my default router. Okay, whenever there is user, then go to user router, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
That is my main intention. Whenever there is a router called as user, at that time go to the user router, and then from then you check up your nesting. Okay, so let's quickly go and send our request, and even here it's sending me an error saying, let me quickly see, app.get use. This is not a route, this is a middleware.
Okay.
Okay, this is not a route, this is the middleware. Okay,
Yes.
now this is a middleware which sends us to a router object where it will work as a router.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it clear?
Yes.
Yes, it is a middleware. So now if we check into our application, and if you go to user and send, now the API starts working. Fine?
Yes.
Is working. So more about middleware. I will come more about the middleware, because most probably everything we use will be based upon middlewares itself. So the next thing which I was more interested was to connect our database
To MongoDB.
MongoDB.
Mongoose.
Yes, to Mongoose. For having a MongoDB, you can quickly say MongoDB Atlas. Okay, MongoDB Atlas is a place provided by MongoDB, gives you a free database in order to work for free. Okay, just go to MongoDB Atlas, click the link, click on sign in. You will come and see a sign up page. I cleared my entire account. They introduced the GitHub login recently, so you can use GitHub login. I'm going with the previous login of my account. So once you are within your MongoDB account, if it is for the first time, it will ask you to fill up this data, that data. You can fill up all those necessary data. But the core essential part which was required was in order to create your own database within MongoDB. How do we create your own database using MongoDB was, I will quickly show you how that can be happening. You can build a database. Within our deployment, there is a database section, right?
Okay.
You can come and build a database over here. And within this database, you can take the shared free one for now.
Okay.
You can create this. You will get one shared instance for free. And you can choose the region. I'm choosing the Mumbai as my region, and I prefer AWS. That's what they prefer also. And you can give it up a name, and I would like to make this name as MERN stack. Okay. So yeah, MERN stack. You don't want those values. Okay, fine. I'm naming it as MERN stack. And also, you might be familiar with camel case. Whenever you are working on brackets, it is more of a this hyphen syntax.
Okay.
Okay, that is usual syntax in backend. I'm just letting you know that doesn't have much to do. So I'm creating my server, and here it says who can access this database. Okay.
Okay.
I previously I added anyone can access this database,
Okay.
but you can quickly add my current IP, which will automatically add your IP address so that you can remove this thing.
Okay.
Okay. This way, only your computer can actually access the database. This is actually much better. Or else you can always use this syntax so that anything can access the database. I will leave it like this so that you guys can look into the database if you guys require it. Okay.
Okay.
But most probably you should always make an IP address in such a way that this IP address is our backend IP address.
Backend,
Okay.
accessible to all. No?
Yes, yes. No,
I
no,
mean,
no.
working
Only
on the
backend.
project.
Only our backend should have the ability to access our database. No other thing should have access.
Yeah.
Okay. Apart from authentication, this is something which helps. Okay.
Okay.
Now I'm going to my database setup. The moment I go to my data, okay, the cluster is getting ready. While this cluster is getting ready, maybe I can talk few things about Express middleware maybe.
Okay.
Okay, like that would be much better, I think so. What do you guys think?
Yours.
Okay, let me go with a few things of Express middleware. Express middleware is something, how should I tell you? Let me quickly change. So, I'm saying this is the middleware, right? Each and every middleware have three features. App.use, it says if there is a function, we will run that function. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe something, some route. I can say I can open a function which will have request, response, and another parameter called as next. The middleware says request, response, and next to work or not. That is the purpose of a middleware. Is it clear? What essentially mean was it will be used, and once it was used, go to the next router. It is mandatory for you to do this thing.
Okay.
Okay. Is it clear?
Okay, so in user router, we will include these as parameters like response, request response.
Okay, let me write a quick small note how this thing work. Okay. Console.log request. I'm intentionally making it as console.log. Don't worry. And at the end I will say next. Okay.
Okay.
What this means, let's check. I go to a request and I now check my user's router is working or not. You can see the API was working, but you can also see something over here. Can you see this?
Okay. Yeah.
What's happening was this entire router first came here. It did the job what it was supposed to do over here. And then it went to the next router, which was this middleware.
Okay.
Okay. Think of it in this way. I would like to create all of my, for example, authentication. I will check authentication here if the user is authenticated or not. Okay. If authenticated means true, for example. If authentication is true, then I will allow him to pass.
Okay.
Else I will return. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay, maybe let me make it a much better syntax next, or else I will just return null, like nothing. Okay. If
Yeah.
like if true is not a valid term, like maybe uh, constant user logged in is equal to true, and using user logged in over here, we'll move to next, making this false. Will make you will write some syntax over here,
Okay.
some logic over here, and for example, now I'm intentionally making this false. Okay, now if I go over here and if I click on users, it will not being processed.
Yeah.
Okay, so this way you can keep all the protected routes below this and all unprotected routes on top of this.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Mm.
I can create a public router which says request response, and what does this say? Like for now I'm just saying response.json, and it should be a status code of status. Okay, so now is this public accessible here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's working.
So
Now you understand the logic behind this?
Yes.
I
Why
mean,
we use
I
Middleware?
have a small query.
Yes, yes.
If suppose a user logged in and a user has access to many other pages,
Yes.
so then the next should be used in the user router here, right? That's what I was asking.
I didn't get you. Can you repeat it again?
Like suppose if you take a Facebook page,
Huh.
in Facebook page, like I have after I log in, wait a second. Right. Suppose I need to go to my profile, right?
Yes.
So it will show like /Girish Chalumuri.
Huh.
In that, so it's
Remember,
automatically
this is
going
not
to
a
the next
front
page.
end route. This was a back end APIs.
I mean the data which it is getting in that profile, right? So it's back in it.
Yes. The data which was populating.
Okay, so there we need not use next or I mean wait. Like next only I mean we will use only once, or it can be used many number of times. That's what I'm
You can use many number of times. See, next means okay, this middleware work was done till here. Now
Done.
go to the next
Okay.
middleware.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, the concept of next was okay, this middleware was done.
Okay.
Now I'm giving you access to move to the next middleware.
Okay.
Okay, that is what next does. If you don't mention it, it will automatically move to the next middleware.
Okay. Okay, it will automatically move.
Yes, like for example, I'm not mentioning here or here.
Okay. Okay.
It will automatically move to the next middleware.
Okay.
Okay.
Whenever I access that URL, I'll get the next one.
Whenever you.
I mean /user. If I access that /user,
See,
then
if
I'll
you are
get
trying
the
to
next.
access this user, what
I will get the
actually the
data.
backend does was first use this middleware. It goes to the next middleware. It goes to this.
Okay.
First of all, it will parse your body. That's what it does.
Parcel code.
It will enable the course was enabled.
Okay.
And next, it was a get router, so it will don't care about this.
Okay.
Now it will go to the next middleware. It
Okay.
saws this middleware, and it has some logic. It verifies the logic.
It verifies the logic.
And we
if it is
mentioned
true,
next.
then only it will go next.
Yes, as we are using next.
Okay.
Only when the next
So
was
in
called.
general, wherever like authentication is required, then we'll use next specifically.
No. It's only one-time logic.
Okay, it's only one time.
You add this one and keep your routes. All of your protected routes are just down here.
Just
So if he is logged in, only then he can use all the routes which are below this.
okay.
If he is not logged in, he can't use any of the logic which was written below.
Okay.
Okay? Unauthenticated users can only use these. Above this, authenticate your users can use even the below properties.
Okay.
Anything? Anku, you're saying something?
Yeah, like if we will not use next in like at line number 31, it will automatically move us to the next router, right?
Yes,
It will not
For
use the
example,
authentication.
yes, I removed this part and if I go to the, even the authentication was false,
It will automatically go.
I will go to user and says, one second, what's happening over here?
It still has.
It's already false.
Okay, it's already false. No. If authentication was
False, it's returning null.
null, okay, I should not mention returning null also, because I'm intentionally saying don't do anything, right?
Yeah.
So that should not happen. And also for some reason, let me quickly see few things what's happening over here. App.use, user logged in, false. If user was not logged in, okay, just quickly out everything, say app.use. I don't want to use the next here. Request, send. The user was not being triggered. It was not triggering. I think app.use.
You didn't give any route for that. You said.
Huh? There was a route, right? User.
Okay.
There was a router for user. Okay. One thing which we need to understand was course was a function which we need. Okay. I will once again confirm things again here, because usually it should push. What I'm thinking was we're directly using a function rather than not having a parameter what it is. Maybe
Exactly.
that might be causing the issue over here. But remember, middlewares are supposed to work in such a way that whether you are intended to move to the next router or not,
Okay.
it can decide that factor.
Okay.
And also what middleware can does was not only just verify few things, it can also add some other properties.
Okay.
Like how to add properties is like
Roles,
I can see
like roles, huh?
For example, request.user role is equal to I'm making admin here itself. Okay, I made admin here. Okay, I did some authentication. He was true, and for some reason I know he's admin.
Okay.
I made him as admin, and over here, within my router, okay, I will just quickly create another router so that I don't want to mess up with all the routers over there. I would like to make it as test and request response, and I would like to response a JSON which has role being, okay, it's a JSON file, so I should keep it in. The role being, what should be the role? It says request dot user role.
Okay.
Okay, so if it's test, right, now I can go to my file, I can quickly say test, I can send the request, and you can see the role is admin. You understand what's happening? What's the things which we can do via middleware?
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. From front end, I don't have the access of whether he is an admin or not. Front end usually send me a JWT token.
Okay.
With using that JWT token, I can construct an object parameters in such a way that I can use them in my routes.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Like here, like if just comment that. Okay.
What do you want to comment?
No, like if the user is logged in, then he can access that /test file, test route, right?
Yes, correct.
But not everyone should be able to access it.
Yeah,
so
if you
what I
make
will
this
do-
false,
No. Like, I mean, I am a normal user, not an admin.
you are a normal. No. I'm saying then you will write the logic in such a way that you
Such a way,
will become
okay. This is just
normal user.
for explanation.
This is just for the explanation that you can set a user role.
Okay, understood.
Okay, it will be something like that. Like within this JWT token, we know whether he is an admin or user.
Admin or a user, okay,
Based
understood.
upon that, we will populate this value.
Okay, understood.
Okay, is it clear for everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything, Ankur, you would like to ask something?
No, clear.
It's clear, right? Let's see
Yeah.
one more thing. What will happen in this? See, over here it is clear that I can use request.user role. Okay. What I would like to add the same thing in my user router and tell me if it works or not. Within this API working, comma, I added this thing. What will happen?
It should work.
It should work, or will it throw error saying that okay, I don't know what you are asking, whether user role or something like that?
It will show error, right? Because request.user role is not defined here.
Request dot?
Because I think that should be mentioned. Like.
So yeah, what you thought was exactly correct, but middleware is something is of a global nature over here.
Okay.
They all are connected.
It's a
right?
single, yes, correct. All are interlinked. It's a single request going through the parsing course, and then all of this changes. The same request.
Okay.
Now the value of this request has a property user role, and the same request went to this user route, user middleware.
Okay.
And so this request object has the user role.
Okay.
Clear?
Okay. Can you show in Thunderflame?
Huh?
Like that's why we do not have to relogin again and again on each page, right?
Yes, correct. That's the reason we can in a way, yeah, that is true. There is no need to log in again and again. We will use the concept of JWT tokens.
JWT tokens.
Okay.
Like same JWT token is being passed on all the
All
pages.
the queries, so that the backend will take care of everything. Okay. You are logged in. I know you are logged in.
Yeah.
Based upon the logic over here, this is what we will see in the coming lecture. Okay. Having the
Yeah.
perfect authentication model. For now, we are not doing a perfect authentication model. We are not even doing anything with the middlewares. I'm just discussing about the middlewares over here. Okay. And I'm removing all the unnecessary things for us. Okay. This was removed.
Okay.
All the part which was not necessary for us was being removed. Yes, done. So it's just see one more thing. If you look into my users page, I'm saying the role to be request.url, but I can't see anything over here.
Okay, so it's automatically eliminating it.
Yes,
because it's
correct. If it not exists, it will not throw an error. It will just
Okay.
remove. That is the advantage of using things like Express.
Express.
If you're not using Express and if you're using the native HTTP module, which we discussed far back, this will throw an error. Saying that, okay, I was not able to understand what your error, or else it will show my request in such a way that role is undefined.
Okay.
Okay? So, yeah. Okay. So, how do we connect to our database? Can you see a button called as connect over here? Once, after some time, your instance was up and running, you can click on this connect button. It will ask, how do you want to connect? I would like to connect to my application. Correct? I will not use MongoDB shell. I would like to connect it to my application. So it gave me something. And for some real bad reason, I actually forgot my password. This password will be enabled once you are setting up your instance.
Okay.
Okay? When you're creating your instance for the first time, it will ask you a password. But I feel like I know the password. But yeah, let's check whether it is the case or not. Okay? If it was not the case, I will do something else. Okay? So over here within our env file, I don't want to share this to multiple people, right?
Yeah.
MongoDB URL. I will make it as MongoDB URL equal to my URL. Okay? And in place of this password, you need to keep your password.
Okay.
Okay? Everything was done. Just change it to your own password. The moment you change it to your own password, you can come back here. And over here, I will first of all import my MongoDB URL. Should be equal to process.mongo ngo, and I believe I would done the same mistake here. it's MongoDB URL, and I don't want to use anything. There is no extra string. Usually, this will be your local machine's MongoDB URL. Okay.
Okay.
You can spin up your MongoDB in your own PC, right?
Oh,
You will write that URL if you are using. Okay. For now, I'm not doing that, so I'm not using anything. I'm using MongoDB URL. Okay, it's fine. Now it's the part where we introduce the concept of mongoose. Mongoose is an abstraction on top of MongoDB.
yeah, it's a wrapper.
Okay, it's a wrapper so that it will be easy to do a lot of things for us. So first of all, I would like to install mongoose. Okay, I'm installing mongoose. Okay, and I misspelled somewhere again. So let it take it time. So mongoose was installed. We can verify it in our package.json. And one thing I would like to quickly do one more thing over here, because I feel like my node modules was not in a synced way. So I'm deleting my node modules and I'm just quickly using npmi. Okay. Okay, but anyways, even then it's still the same, but anyways, leave it. Mongoose was installed. So now, okay, now how do we connect our mongoose? First of all, let's import mongoose. I would like to import mongoose. Yep, done. Mongoose was imported. Now how do we connect mongoose? It's simple and straightforward. Just before listening, I will just write here. Okay, it's like mongoose. Yeah, you can see this thing, something populated over here.
Yeah.
In my, it's the syntax. Okay, not just use new URL parser. There is another thing. What there is actually not required for you to do this. It's clear. That's it. It's connected. But what is this? Because I don't want to have any console.log warnings that you are using the latest version, older versions will not work, such kind of errors. That's why I'm using this thing. Okay. I just don't want to have few errors in my console. Okay. It is absolutely not necessary, but it is for the purposes of being sync with the latest version. Okay. Similarly, there is something called as use unified topology to be also true. Fine. These two are absolutely not necessary. I am adding these two so that it will not bring any console errors to me. Okay. Because as we are using the latest MongoDB, it might not be supported with the older versions. That's the errors mean over there.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah. So okay, it connects the error. What if my string fails? Right? Correct? It might always sometimes result in a failure. So that's the reason we use the then feature. Okay. If it connected, okay, if this connected, I would like to start my backend. Is it clear?
Okay.
Yeah.
If the MongoDB connected, then and then it itself I would like to connect. If it failed, means the catch.
Dot catch.
If it failed, it returned an error, and this error is a fatal error, not an error for us. Okay, connection to
MongoDB failed.
MongoDB failed. Let's see. Hope my password was wrong, and MongoDB failed with error dot message. Okay, is it clear what I wrote here? So it's logo.fatal. I will quickly start my npm run dev. So it says 10. See, can you see there is a brief time to pop up the server listening on port 3001? No, it's not instantaneous because it is connecting to our MongoDB. Okay. Now this is a setup for connection. Now, fortunately, yeah, I remember my password. So this is a setup. Yep. Now it was connected. Our MongoDB was connected.
Okay.
Our application was connected. to the MongoDBs.
MongoDB.
So now the important part comes was designing a schema. Okay, I will go step by step rather than giving you all the things which are related to the schema. Okay, so let's quickly see what the schema is all about. In order to write a schema, we usually write it in
Models.
correct. We write it in models. Okay, models. Okay, within our models, now what we are creating was what kind of a model?
Login, na?
User model.
Okay, user.
Okay, we are creating the user model. Okay, user dot
Just.
js. Is it clear till here? We are creating a user model.
Okay.
Okay, so within this user model, what are we supposed to do? First of all,
Import some.
First of all, we need to import Mongoose. Okay, I have Mongoose. So what's the next thing? What is it? We are trying to create a schema, right? What is the schema called as user schema?
User schema.
Let's say it as user schema. The user schema is nothing but new mongoose dot schema, and we will write our schema as an object, right?
Okay.
Our user should supposed to have what are we expecting the user to have?
Username and password.
For example, email and password.
Okay.
What is the email? Email is string. Email is of type string, right?
Okay.
And what is password is also string. I'm just keeping it simple. I will expand the knowledge of this schema a bit more. Okay. For now, it's just email and password.
Okay.
And my schema was ready. So I would like to now, based upon this schema, I would like to create a model.
Model. Okay.
So I can say const
Model.
user. What should I say? Const user.
User model.
You can see it as user. For example, user is enough. I should make it mongoose.model. And remember, this is something most of the people get confused. Look carefully. This is the important part in actually the MongoDB. See, I'm creating a model called as user. It can be anything. It's just a constant which I will export so that I can use it.
Okay.
It's in capital, first of all.
Okay.
Second one, this notation over here is in singular nature. This is not plural. This is user. Okay. And this over here, I'm mentioning the my schema.
My schema.
Based upon this schema, give me a mongoose model on user, which I term it as user.
Okay.
Now I'm exporting this user so that I can use it in my code.
Cool.
It's clear till now?
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's quickly see what we can do it with our requests. Now, in order to create a user, I need to create a route in such a way that I will be able to create, right? So I will quickly create a post request. That's the way we create users, right?
Yes.
I'm creating a post request on / which means on user. For now, the post request is sending API working. API post request working. I'm just testing for now.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just testing whether post request is working or not. Now quickly go to this thing. I will make it into a post request. I'm sending it to the sets, and post request is working. Okay. Now I would like to test even further whether the post request is working or not. Within this post request, I'm sending a body. Okay. This body contains email. The email is and similarly, I'm also sending the password. Usually we will not do this, but anyways, Okay, I'm sending these values.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's our intention? I would like to see my API displaying this so that I have a guarantee that I was able to see, get my details over here.
Okay.
How do you get these values? Any idea? Any idea? Anyone? No
It
ideas?
stores somewhere request dot body part.
Request dot?
Body.
Yes, in a way, what you said was correct. We need to create something such a way that it has, it should grab the body.
Body. Okay.
Okay. So for now, I'm leaving this here. I can quickly go and say, okay, I'm searching for the body, right? Within this body, I should look into things like constant. What I'm grabbing? What I'm grabbing? What are the
Body.
details I want?
Email and password.
Email and password.
Our email and password should be equal to
Request.body.
request.
Strings. Okay.
Okay, sorry, there is no need to solve this function. This says I have email and password from the body, and if you look into our request, I've added this in my body,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm grabbing these values and I'm sending these values to my email again, just for the purpose of testing whether I received these values from the body or not. Remember? Okay, first let's check and see what's happening. I'm getting the values right.
Yeah.
So it's working, but let's do one quick thing and see things will work in that way or not. Can you see there was an error?
Yeah.
Okay. The error is because we are not parsing the data using our express.json.
Okay.
Okay. This is the reason why we need to have this particular file. Now, did you understand why I'm adding this file?
Okay.
Because our request has some body which was coming to our application as a string.
String.
Now this express.json will actually convert our string into JSON again.
Okay.
So we will not have any issues in our entire application. We can grab directly like this. Okay? Fine?
Okay.
So yep, this is the part. But can you see over here? Don't you think our logic was increasing a lot here? Because I haven't even wrote the logic and this page is becoming bigger and bigger. Okay, so now we use the concept of controllers. Okay?
Like, sir,
Controllers.
Controllers.
here at line number 15,
Huh?
the order will matter, right?
No. The order will not matter.
Or it will match the
It
name.
will match. This is called as destructuring. It will not matter at all.
Okay.
The email is email and the password is password.
Nice.
We are just destructuring. See, this is an object consisting of email and password, right? What I'm telling here was, in fact, where is this? Where is my router? In which file we are discussing? Yeah, it's in router, right? It is just, I'm telling that what this actually means was, this particular line means was constant email equal to request dot body
dot email.
dot email.
Dot email.
If as there are two requests, it means
In the question, password.
password, sorry, and the same thing going here. Both are essentially the same. But rather than writing this in such a way, I would like to make, I know body is an object.
Requested body is object. It
Objects.
consists password.
I will use this. In fact, I can also do it in such a way. I don't want to display password. I can just destructure only email and send only email.
Display only.
So it will only send the email. Fine?
Yeah.
Anything?
No.
Okay.
Fine.
This is destruction, object destructuring. Okay. Similarly, we have array destructuring. We will use this syntax over there. We will come to those when we are doing much complex logic. But anyways, now we are worried more about this page might become bigger and bigger. Okay, or else let's do one thing. First of all, let's create our file here and see why it will become bigger, and then we can work upon the theory of controllers. Okay.
I mean, the models which we wrote, we haven't used it anywhere, right?
Yeah, that's what we will do here.
Okay.
That's why I said the logic will increase slowly,
Okay, cool.
which will increase this file. So we would like to create something. But anyways, first of all, let's create a user in our database.
Okay.
How do we create? First of all, we need to import our model, right? What was our model name called as?
User.
User, right? And it is from our models file
Okay.
of user
Yeah.
dot js.
Okay.
Don't forget to keep this thing, okay?
Okay.
You
Yeah.
should always add that .js in backend.
Okay.
Now, user is a mongoose model. Remember this? User is a model. It's not some random object. It has so many other properties.
Okay.
Now, let's check how this model can do a lot for us. Now, within our file, till now, we are working with async nature. But from now, I'm removing this entire thing so that I can write my logic. What I can see here was, I would like to create a user, right? I would like to create a user based upon new model.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
New user means, what is user? Is a model
it's a
which
model.
I defined. The model was this thing. This model is based upon this schema, so it consists of email and password. So the new user here, what I mentioned was new user means new email and password.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
and I need to send that email and password.
Okay.
So is it okay that I send something like this request and body?
Yeah.
Okay, but what if for some reason I have something like this?
True.
Admin is false. Okay, I don't want to. Admin is false. Okay, but I don't want to save that in my schema. Okay, can I? The better thing was, rather than using this one like this, it should be constant.
Email
First of all,
comma password.
email comma password is request.body, right?
Yeah.
You can also destructure your admin thing and do whatever you want over there, okay?
Okay.
And you would like to create a new user based upon email and password. So you need to send,
Email and password.
it should be an object, remember. Is it clear?
Yeah.
I would like to create a new user with the email and with this password.
Okay.
Okay, and okay, now we have, so what I would like to respond back to the user?
Account created.
Account created, right? So it is response.json. Remember, I would like to add the status tags here.
Okay.
Okay, one more thing. This is not, till now, here you are creating only locally, okay? For the purpose of understanding, I'm just using something, response.json user is here created. I would just like to console log the user and see what is the user thing, okay?
Okay.
I would like to see what actually is user. So I'm sending the post request. It says user created, but if you can see over here, can you see it's email, password, and an ID?
An ID. Yeah.
This ID is MongoDB ID.
Okay.
Okay. MongoDB is constructing all of these things. Okay. Now the user should be actually directly the user.
Huh? Okay.
Now what I want to do was I want to save this user in our Mongo database. How do
Okay.
we save this thing? See, this saving usually takes some time, right?
So
So
async await one.
I should use async await concept. So I'm making my function as async, and I'm using the try catch block.
Try catch.
Within this try catch block, I would like to save this in our.
Away user.
It's just user.save. As we already connected to our database previously, it will save in our database directly.
Okay.
After saving, I would like to send the response of this thing. Correct? And what we did right now was creating a user.
Okay.
The status code of creating something was 201.
Okay.
I mean, this is not necessary, but a good practice.
Okay.
The status code of creating something was 201, and I'm sending the details back what I have created. And if there was an error, what should be the status code of not creating? It should be
Logger
409.
dot. Okay. 400. 400. Sorry.
409. Okay.
409.
And what should be the JSON usually should be?
Logger dot error.
I can say something like this. Error
Okay.
true, and message was error.message.
Okay.
Okay, this way the front end guys know whether we received an error or not.
Okay.
If they want to further investigate what the error, they can see the message tag.
Okay.
Clear?
I mean, we are not using logger here.
We are not using logger. No,
I mean,
we will use logger here and here. At every place of application, we will use logger. First of all, let's focus only on the database points,
Okay.
because we will not even keep this logic in this place.
Okay. Okay.
We will use the concept of controllers, and I will
Okay.
let you know over there. Okay.
Okay.
This is just to see whether everything is working or not. So now quickly go to our MongoDB Atlas and open our collections. Well, okay, I'm not sure whether this is working or yeah, it's working. Within my collections, can you see there was something called as users?
Okay.
Okay, and can you see we have something called as users which we haven't created?
Okay.
Any idea why this was users? Because within our models, we mentioned it as user.
Okay.
Remember, we mentioned it as user.
Okay.
It will make it plural.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
It will make it. Because object is a schema of single element, but what we store is multiple elements.
Multiple elements.
Okay.
So it will automatically add the S.
Okay.
Fine?
Yeah.
Now, for now, there is nothing over here. If I click on the users, I can see nothing. It was 0 results. Now let's see. Wow, now we added the concept of save also, right? So now let's add our request and send the users. So this was the response which I got. I got an email, password, ID, and something which only MongoDB knows what it does. Now if I go to my database and if I quickly refresh these values, it's loading something and it's in my database.
Okay.
Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Now this is how we store something in our database. Okay?
Okay.
So yeah, but for now I would think how many requests we can write. Post. We haven't even write a single logic here. Just to create, this is this much. And similarly, we will have the get, delete, and everything, which will make this application, this routes file a lot bigger. So now we will use the concept called as controllers.
Controllers.
Okay? What does controllers does? Controllers make things look prettier.
Okay.
Okay? I mean, the way our code navigate. Controllers are the core object of our logic. Our index file is core of routing. Our routes focus on individual routes.
Okay.
Our controller focus on pure logic.
Okay.
Okay? Is it clear? So now let's quickly create a controllers folder. Within this server, I will create a folder called as controllers. Okay? Within this controller, what is the controller? Users.
Users.
Users dot, let's make it also user to be consistent all over the way. We have a model called user, we have a route called user or user. So we will have a mental idea what's happening with a single thing. Okay, so we have a controller. Now all the logic which we wrote in our users not model in our user route, this is the logic, right? This entire async functionality, I don't want to keep it over here. Okay. I would like to cut this logic and I would like to keep it in my controller. So within my controller, first of all, what you have to do, first of all, you need to import express. Okay. After importing express, I would like to also import mongoose. Because anyways we are writing mongoose. Okay. After importing mongoose, what I have to first of all import my router, right? I should have a router. My router was express dot router. What router? Capital router, correct. Now I have the router. Once I have the router, now I need to create a function. Correct? What is this function? In fact, I think there is no need of creating this router actually. But let's confirm. Okay. What we are creating
async function.
Yes, we need to create a function. That function was create
user.
Create user. It is an, I think I copied it. Yeah, async function, right?
Okay.
I would like to export this. I think there is no need of
router.
Express itself. Express and router. Okay. In order to use this new user concept, I need to first of all import user model, right?
Yeah.
I can cut this, I can paste this. I think there is no need of mongoose also. Okay. There is use, but not now. I will tell when. Right now there is no use for us. Okay. We import our model, we export our create user, and this create user is something we would like to trigger
in our routes.
In our
routes
over
like
here.
user.js.
So first of all, we need to import. This is what?
User.
Create
user.
This should be what? This is not a default export. This was a normal export. So it should be within the curly braces.
It should be no curly braces.
Okay. Now the create user should be triggered when router.post was triggered. Okay. And it crashed saying something. Let's quickly identify what that was. Cannot find nodal user. Okay, it's user.js. Okay.
Yeah.
So now everything was linked. Similarly, there was get request, right? I would like to cut this. Okay. I would like to cut this, and what I have to say in our controller, I need to create another constant called as get users, which is also an async function, which does not require next property. And now tell me what am I supposed to write here? I need to get the users, right?
Yeah.
How do I get the users? Any idea? Okay, let me say.
Like all the users.
I would like to. Okay, actually, the code populated entirely what actually I require.
Okay.
Okay, just use it for now. Yeah, anyways, rather than using this.
And that's because of tab 9 or something
that
else?
is because of tab 9. Okay, just forget about it. I will write it myself. What we have to do was we need to find. So first of all, we need to open try catch. Within our try catch, we need to find. The only thing we have was user, right?
Okay.
So what we can quickly say was, okay, something like constant all users equal to my await.user.find is enough.
Okay.
User dot
Fine.
find.
Mm.
Is it okay?
Mm.
And I can say response dot what?
Status.
First of all, status. What should be the status? Should be 200,
200.
because everything is working fine. That's what we want to say to our server. Once the status was fine, what we are supposed to send? We are supposed to send all users.
All users.
I would like to keep it as all users. If there was some error, what should be the status?
A response of 409.
It's not 409. It is usually
Fine.
any idea?
Okay. No idea.
It's
404. Huh?
It's 404. Okay.
Okay.
Our error is always try to use this syntax. This is the best way of doing that things, which will make the life of front-end developers easy.
Error.
Okay.
Because mention error is true or false, and then write a message separately.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So and would like to export this. So now I save this file. I can use it in my routes.
Okay.
Like I'm importing this guy. So I'm using this whenever there is a GET request.
Mm.
Clear? Now can you see how clean my file is getting here?
Mm.
Okay. There is no need for log4j this here. My log4j will always stay in my controllers. Okay.
Yeah.
It will not be anywhere. So this became much clearer, and this is the entire logic, and you know how to work with functions.
Okay.
Whatever function you care, you just look into that function itself.
I mean, the entire logic will be just populated in these controllers.
Yes, the entire logic will stay in these controllers.
I mean, respect to JS file, like here we are operating with users, so it's users. If it's to do, then we'll create to do.
Yes, right now there is only one route, controller, and model for us. That is user. Okay. Similarly, now we have get, right? Let's see whether this get is working or not. In order to get, we need to just make it to the get, and you need to press send user. Can you see? All
Yes.
users
All
is an
users.
array consisting of our data.
Mm.
So our get request is working now.
Okay.
Okay. It's just see find gives all the users.
Okay.
So we need to make it as get all users, because there will be scenarios where you would like to have only
One user.
one user, right? Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I am making this as get all users, and I will convert this also to get all users. Now I would like to get users based upon their ID.
ID.
Yeah.
Is it clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
So for the purpose of getting by ID, how we will, let's see how our request will be. Our request will be like ID, this ID.
Okay.
Correct?
Mm.
We assume we have this ID in our front end. Okay.
Okay.
This is how we will send the request.
Okay.
Now I should only
Okay.
get these details.
Mm.
For understanding purposes, I am creating a new post request with another user. Okay.
Mm.
The another user was let's make it to Pawan @ example.com, the same password, and something happened here. What's the error?
Low current.
Okay. Within our post request, I think we have something like logger details. Where is my controller? Create user. Okay, there is, yes, this thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Line.
Now go back to my request, send the request. I have Pawan.
Yeah.
Similarly, I am making Girish. Similarly, I'm making Ankur. Okay. This is just for the purpose that we have multiple data. Okay. Nothing fancy over here. Now, if you look into our documentation, we have 4 users, right?
Okay.
Mm.
And if we come back here, and if you look into our get request for users, and if you send, you can see all the users.
Mm.
So how I said, if I would like to have only one user, like for example, I would like to get Ankur over here. I can copy this, and this is how I should send
Okay.
my request. So for this, let's write our file. Okay. First of all, within our router, first we need to create a router, right? Of get on what?
User
How
slash.
how it should be ID, which I already previously said. Okay.
Okay.
I should say get user by ID. Is it clear?
Mm-hmm.
So I need to create this get user by ID function. Now this get user by ID function should be within our controller.
Control.
Yeah.
Within my controller, I'm quickly copying the same thing at the bottom and changing the name, and coming to the details, I will quickly change the logic. This is the logic, right? Nothing special. I can make it as user, and I will send the only user. One second.
No.
Hello. Moment. Yeah. So I need to change the logic here, right?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I need to get the ID. How do I get the ID?
Send it in param.
How? Previously, if it is in body, we will say body. Right now, it is not in body. How we will get the ID? The ID was right now in a thing called as params.
Okay.
Okay? Within the params, the ID was stick. What are params? Whatever you write here is a param.
Param.
Okay.
Okay? Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the ID now was in my param.
Okay.
Now, if you go into this user model and click dot, you can see, can you see there are multiple suggestions to you?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
out of this, one was find by ID.
Mm.
Can you see?
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
click find by
Yeah.
ID and send our ID.
Okay.
Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Now save this file, save our routes, come to our request. I sent the value to be get request.
That request.
That request, and okay, I'm also copying the Pawan's request so that I can use in my next router. Okay? I'm sending these details. Can you see now this is Ankur's details?
Okay.
If I change this request to Pawan's ID and if I send, I am now getting Pawan's details.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay? Based upon this ID, now we are writing the logic.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
I mean, this is REST API, right?
This is creating the entire REST API.
Okay.
Okay? Clear? Everything is clear till now?
Mm.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, clear.
So what else we are supposed to do in our router? We are supposed to update. For
Update.
each and every one, I added your example.com as an email.
Email.
I would
If
like
I
to
want
change it as gmail.com now.
Okay.
For all three of you. So
Okay.
what am I supposed to do? First of all, every time you need to come to where?
A controllers file. I mean.
First of all, come to your routes and
Okay,
create
first
an
account.
exact route. Okay. What was your router? It's a update request.
Post.
How
Update.
Update.
Update should be
Post request.
patch
Update.
request.
Put.
Okay.
Patch.
Oh, patch.
Doesn't matter. Put or patch, both the same. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to update based upon ID, right? I'm not
Mhm.
updating everyone at the same time.
Okay.
And based upon ID, what should be the logic should be? Maybe update user,
Update.
Update.
but update user.
Mm.
Clear?
Mm.
I'm updating the user. So I need to create the corresponding.
Yeah, import.
To make it more semantic, I'm making it as update user by ID. Because
okay,
this is based upon ID, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes you would like to update on some other variables. To make it precise, I'm making my variables in such a way. I'm updating user by ID.
Mhm.
Now, this update user by ID, before saving, you need to go to the controllers. Just copy one of the, it's always better to have a copy and make it and remove the entire logic if you don't care and want to write the entire logic.
Okay.
But in our case, it's okay.
ID is the same thing.
The ID was same. So we found the user, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the same user also.
Okay.
First we
Okay.
find the user. Now what we have to change?
Request.
User
His
User email.
parameters.
user email. Maybe I'm sending this email via my body, right?
Okay.
Correct?
Request.
Is it clear?
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
while adding a patch request, okay,
Okay.
I'm sending the new email.
Okay.
The email is, okay, I have this ID, so I will work with Pawan's details
Okay.
because I have this email. I would like to make it as Pawan
And the red Gmail.
at the rate gmail.com. So
Yeah.
now, in order for my logic to work, I have all the details. I got the ID.
Mm.
Based upon the ID, first of all, I found the user.
Mm.
After finding the user, I would like to change his what user dot email
Email.
to be the new email.
Okay.
And once it was done, I would like to save the user.
Save.
Same.
Is
Okay.
it clear? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Once I saved
Yeah.
the user, I'm sending the JSON data.
Mm-hmm.
See, there will be things like this in the model, but never use this.
Okay.
Like for example, you can have user dot.
Mm.
Okay. Await user dot find by ID and update.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ever use this, okay?
No.
I will tell you why we should never use this kind of things, because in future
Mm.
within our schema itself we will write some validations.
Okay.
The validations will only work when you save or create.
Okay. Okay.
It should not be automatically saved by find by ID and delete or update or something like that.
Okay.
Okay, that's the purpose. Always use this concept of await user.save.
Okay.
Okay, this way whenever you write any kind of schema
It will be-
validations within our models, those will be triggered. I will tell about the schema modules in next class. Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
about the schema validations. Right now, just existing data. We are just passing the data.
Okay.
So let's see whether we are able to save how we are intended and see if you are getting any errors or whatever it is. Okay. For now, it's spawn at the rate of example.com. I send the request. I got some error.
Mm.
Any idea why this is coming?
Syntax error, boss.
Unexpected JSON at position 34, JSON parser. Let's quickly look whether we wrote our entire logic correctly or not. Okay. First of all, my ID was request params. My email was from the body. Yes, that's what we did, right? Okay,
Mhm.
it's not here. Here. Patch request. Quickly, let's see. There is no issue here. I got the params, I got the body, and I need to update this thing. So my updated post, okay, let's see what is, let's debug where I getting the issue, right?
Mm.
I'll first of all say uncomment these two and see if I can get the details properly, because I'm not doing any logic here.
Mm.
I'm just finding the data and pushing the data. Let's send the details. Even here I'm getting an error.
We should use get patch.
No, within patch itself I'm sending.
Okay.
So the error was not within our logic, the error was somewhere else.
Okay.
So let's quickly go to our router.
Routes.
Within the router, I created a patch and I send an ID and I updated user by ID. Now within our controller, I have update user by ID and I am having the params. No issue still here. So what might be the other things? Dun. What might be the other things? Any info, suggestions which you feel like I'm missing somewhere? I added the params, so I'll get the ID. No issues over there. I found the ID. It should actually work. Why it's not working? Localhost. I sending a body. Okay. Let me don't send the body at all. Okay. Sending the body is actually creating an error. Okay, the comma over here. Uncomment these details. Yeah, the JSON object should not have a comma at the back. Okay.
Okay.
Now let's send the same details again. Now can you see it was updated to pawan@gmail.com?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like these kinds of error or torture happens. Okay. So if I get all the users, for all the users I can get
Get.
I get all the users. I see Pawan's was gmail.com now.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it clear? So I updated things. Even we updated even the user.
Yeah.
How we updated? Just by mutating the object directly. Remember,
Directly.
we mutated directly.
Mhm.
It is possible. It's like I haven't destructured things, made a copy of something, blah blah blah. I was able to mutate directly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, we can do this.
Mm.
Okay, so yes, this is coming to update. Yeah, and one more thing was to delete.
Mm.
Mm.
So the finalmost was delete. How do we create a delete? Now you guys talk. First of all, what should I do?
Create
First we
a
need to
Huh?
route.
Yes,
Route.
we need to create a route. So
Yeah.
I will create a route. Router dot
Delete.
delete, and I'm deleting based upon
ID.
correct. So I mention it over here.
Mm.
So first we import this. We should import this from
Yeah.
our controller.
Control.
So in order to import means before saving this, I need to go to my controller file
Control.
Control.
and I need to create it
Delete.
the function.
Mm.
I created the function. So I now don't care about the body, but I need the ID.
ID.
I need to delete, but how do I delete?
User dot
With the ID.
If you go to the user model and again search, check whether this is working on. See, I initially said don't use this kind of syntax, right? Find by ID and update or things. Why? That is because I want to I want to do validations. But while
Okay.
removing, I don't want any validations, right? Just remove it.
Okay.
So there is no concept of validation, so I can use this function.
Okay.
So now quickly go here. I will send the request again. Top. Error was false. The user was deleted. If you go and check all the users,
Get.
you will not see me. Okay? And what if I do some, yeah, like, anyways, you're getting the idea, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I add this one and I delete, this guy was deleted. That's correct. Yeah, correct. Delete this user. All the users were being deleted, and I left with Girish because I might like to do one thing before we move forward. Okay, I have all the users. One user was Girish. Okay, now I would like to add you guys to see if how one concept which was called as query works. Any idea
Okay.
what is query? Query params?
Like in GraphQL we use query for get request.
No, not about the GraphQL. Okay. HTTP query. Okay. Okay. Express query params. To request dot query. Anyways, like just don't bother. I will just tell directly. Just try to remember that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Within our request till now, we are just sending details like this. Okay.
Mm.
For okay, I left Ankur, right?
Mm-hmm.
I removed all the users. Okay, I left Ankur. So I actually wanted to tell Ankur while sending the request itself, I don't want to send body.
Okay.
I want to send some details
Okay.
like logged in being true. Did you?
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Within the URL itself, I would. But this is a very bad practice of telling logged in true. We should use it to some other purposes.
Okay.
Okay, like for example, if you want to update the user emails, we can. Don't send the sensitive data because it is in URL.
Okay.
I'm sending logged in to be true.
Mm.
But how do you grab these values in our backend?
Control.
For example, what I'm doing here was, if at all only logged in true, I would like to use a get request.
Okay.
That's what I would like to use now.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
So within my get request, where is this? Update
Get
user by ID.
user.
Get user by
Get
ID.
user by ID.
I can clearly say constant logged in
Then
is equal to request dot.
Query. Okay.
Okay. The logged in parameter is coming from query now.
Query.
Now
if
how?
n is true.
Huh? This
If
entire
that is-
logic
Mm,
should
okay.
work.
If
Logged in is true.
okay.
Correct?
Get.
So I can quickly say, let me make let logged in, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Means it can be something, so I make it like thing. So I'm making a if statement which says,
Request dot true.
yes, request dot query dot, sorry,
Log.
not ID, request dot query dot logged in is equal to a string of
false.
true.
So
Yeah, if it is true, I would like to. If it is
Log.
true means I can use this logic. Correct.
Yes.
And similarly, if is this if statement? Yes, correct. If this was false, I will send this one, and that setup will be over here. And I don't want this if statement, not required. This thing, not required. This bracket, not required. Save. And I think now there is no need to have a logged in also. Okay. We have two if statements. One was for logged in true, one was we logged in false. Now if I true, everything works. If I make false, send, it's working. Clear?
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just parsing errors.
It's just rather than sending true or something, we will send our
String.
we'll work with JWT objects.
Okay.
It's already a string. There is no need, and I'm just telling you that there is a concept of query.
Query.
We
Okay.
will not use it for login purposes. Okay. Sometimes we will use the concept of querying also. There are two different ways. One was body, one was params, one was query.
Okay.
And you can send multiple queries. Like logged in is true, right?
Yeah.
And you can again keep.
Question mark.
Yes, correct. Now I can say redirect to
Okay.
where Google.
Okay.
Any doubts till here?
I mean, it's very relatable to that 8 table one which we did in the.
Yeah. Yes, everyone create the logic in such a way. This is the core concept of creating any kind of an API, and 8 table does the similar fashion.
Similar.
And yeah, any doubts for any of you? Just go on. For now, I'm also sending the React application to our. I will push also the React application so that you guys can use it. And I'm creating a sample env so that sample dot env dot example, and within this example I will just write these values, but it's your you need to keep your own URL here. Okay,
Okay.
I'm removing my URL.
Mhm.
Okay, I will say your
I mean, the env will not be uploaded into GitHub, right?
well, that's why I'm sending in sample file.
Okay, sample file.
Okay, you just need to change these values
No.
to according to your request. So for now there is a React application which we never use, but we will use it tomorrow. I mean,
Okay.
in our next session.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm stopping the server. I'm going back to the core, and I'm okay. What's happening? Oh, sorry.
Stage sense.
Yeah.
Stay.
Init MERN stack. Git push. Okay.
Yes.
So now if you go to the repository, you will have the client, all the details which you haven't worked upon, the server which having the controllers, models and routes, and an env example which you can modify with your own URL.
On your.
And yep, everything was done, and there is app.log file which I should not send here. So it is restricted to your own file. So within my git ignore, I'm also adding app.log. I'm saving this. I'm intentionally deleting this file, so it will be deleted from our GitHub repository. And now I would like to see, sure, removing log file from
Repository.
and git push. The log file was removed, and from now the log file will not be added also. Anything? Any doubts? Anything? Just let me know now itself, so that. Nothing? Clear?
No.
I mean, okay, we will discuss afterwards, right? Like the ability to link different tables and all.
Yes. Linking two different tables, right?
Yeah.
Yes. We will do that in our next schema design. See,
Schema
I just
design.
said just adding these values itself.
Oh.
Now you are familiar with CRUD operations. Now what we will do in the next step was make complex schemas.
Okay.
These complex schemas which will interlink between two different schemas.
Okay.
And the concept of population.
Okay.
There is a concept of populating content, and also validations.
Okay.
Even validations will be here itself. We will not create another separate file for validations. We will write our validations here itself. Okay, something like, for a brief introduction, how it will be like, we can write the type of this thing to be string, and we will say it is required. Okay, this way we are saying, okay, it's mandatory to you to provide the email address. Okay, and if you want some other properties, like, okay, by default I want to have some value, you can add the default value. This is something which we will look in tomorrow's session. And then if you would like to attach this to some other file, we will have something called as references. We will refer this to, we will look into the advanced version of schema designing tomorrow. Okay. Don't worry about that, sir. Yeah, it's my laptop was also down. Anything, if you have any doubts, just let me know, because it's almost done for today. We're done for today.
Oh,
Fine? Clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
clear.